used to think my high school was normal. A little old, a little creaky, but nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't until my senior year that I realized how wrong I was. My school had a night janitor named Mr. Willard. Thin man, maybe in his mid-50s, always wearing the same gray uniform that looked a size too big on him. He never talked much, barely made eye contact, and had this nervous habit of rubbing his thumb over his knuckles like he was trying to wipe something off that never came off. Most students avoided him. Some joked he lived in the school basement, others claimed he slept in the utility closet on the east wing. But no one really knew anything about him, except one thing: he never allowed anyone near the old storage building behind the football field. It was this small, rusted shed with boarded-up windows, faded red paint, and a padlock that looked older than the school itself. Anytime a ball went near that shed, Mr. Willard appeared out of nowhere, grabbed it, and tossed it back without saying a word. He guarded that place like something dangerous was inside. My story begins on a cold October evening. I had stayed after school for a late project meeting. By the time I finished, it was already dark. The halls were empty, but the building wasn't silent. Old schools never are. They breathe and shift like something alive. As I walked toward the exit, I heard a mop bucket rolling somewhere behind me. I turned around and saw Mr. Willard at the far end of the hallway. His head jerked up when he noticed me, like I had startled him even though he was the one making noise. He stood completely still for a few seconds, staring. Then he lifted his hand and pointed toward the exit, as if reminding me I shouldn't be there so late. I muttered an apology and left. The next night, something strange happened. I had forgotten my laptop in the classroom and had to return to school. My mom waited in the parking lot while I ran inside. The hall lights were dimmed, only every third bulb glowing. As I reached my classroom, I heard a loud bang echoing from the east wing. Not like a locker closing, this sounded deeper, heavier, like something being kicked or shoved violently. I froze, then I heard it again. And again. A series of thuds, uneven, frantic. I called out, thinking maybe a student was messing around. No answer. When I grabbed my laptop and stepped back into the corridor, the lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then stayed on. That's when I saw him. Mr. Willard turned the corner at the far end. But he wasn't walking. He was sprinting. His keys jingling violently, his breathing ragged like he'd been running for a long time. I stepped aside, startled, but he didn't even look at me. He raced past, heading straight toward the east wing, disappearing into the darkness. I remember thinking, what could make a grown man that terrified? The next day, the school whispered with rumors. A freshman girl said she saw a shadow crawling on all fours behind the supply room. A teacher reported hearing knocking inside the walls. Someone claimed the fire alarm went off at midnight even though the building was empty. Everyone laughed it off, but I had seen the look in Mr. Willard's eyes. He wasn't scared of a prank. He was scared of something real. 1 week later, everything escalated. I was again in school late, this time because of detention. I was sweeping the art room after spilling paint, and the teacher supervising me left early, telling me to lock up. Around 7:45 p.m., I finished and walked into the hallway. The school was dead silent, not even the usual hum of the AC. That's when I noticed a faint dragging sound. Slow. Rhythmic. Something heavy being pulled across the tiles. I followed the sound until it led me toward the east wing, right where I had heard the banging before. The hallway smelled strange, like wet soil mixed with something metallic. I rounded the corner and froze. Down the hallway, near the old janitor's closet, the lights were flickering non-stop. Every few seconds, I caught a glimpse of a shape in the flashes. Something hunched over. Thin arms. Long fingers. Not human. I stepped back quietly, but the floor creaked under my shoe, the dragging stopped, absolute silence. Then, in the stuttering glow of the flickering lights, I saw the silhouette slowly turn its head toward me. I didn't think. I ran, I sprinted to the nearest stairwell, nearly tripping. As I reached the bottom, someone grabbed my arm. I screamed. But it wasn't the thing. It was Mr. Willard. His face was pale, drenched in sweat, and his hands were shaking. He whispered, "You shouldn't be here. It comes out when the lights start failing." Before I could ask anything, a shrill scraping echoed behind us. Mr. Willard dragged me into a storage closet and shut the door. Inside, he locked the door and pressed his ear against it, listening. For a full minute, we heard nothing, then something sniffed at the door, slowly. Deeply. Like it was trying to memorize our scent. The doorknob twitched once, then fell silent. After a few minutes, Mr. Willard opened the door and motioned for me to follow him. His steps were slow, deliberate, like he knew exactly which tiles to avoid. He led me out through a back exit and didn't speak until we were outside. He told me something I'll never forget. He said the creature wasn't new. It had been there for decades. Long before he started working. Something buried under the school. Something they shouldn't have disturbed. He told me the storage building behind the football field wasn't for equipment. It was where the school kept old documents from when the building was first constructed. Documents describing a sinkhole they filled but never properly sealed. Something had been trapped underneath, something that wasn't dead. Before I could ask anything else, he turned away and said, "Don't come back after dark again. If you hear dragging, run. And never look back." The next day, Mr. Willard didn't show up to work. He never showed up again. The school replaced him with a new janitor, and no one talked about him after that. But I know what I saw. And sometimes, when I pass by the east wing in the morning, I notice faint scratch marks along the wall, long, curved, like claws dragging across paint. They repaint it every few weeks, but the marks always come back, and sometimes, in quiet moments, I swear I still hear that dragging sound.